just topping up the lead acid batteries because the solar is not sufficient at the moment to recharge them, unfortunately. And this is the lesson to all, well, greenies or otherwise, the whole idealistic idea that we can go towards electric vehicles and solar-powered, wind-powered, tidal-powered, this, that and the other, is not as simple as you might think. I would say that most people who talk about all of this are either technologists who have a lot of idealistic concepts in their heads, or people that have something to gain from it. I'm all for green energy, but the reality is that a hybrid system, like here I've got a generator recharging the lead acid batteries, and here's another thing, because I can't afford lithium batteries, they're too expensive, but having the solar panel to the lead acid batteries, LPG cooker, LPG heater, plus the wood fire, plus the petrol generator to get things going when nothing else is working, is essential. So a hybridised system is absolutely needed, not just for off-grid properties, but for well, the grid basically. So while all these people are out there protesting and everything, which I agree with, like we need to move away from fossil fuels and all that, but the reality is that like we're not gonna, if you've never lived off grid, you have no fucking idea. And if you're on the grid, then you're probably having some, you know, you're probably in La La Land basically, thinking that you can you know, get the powers that be to give you clean green energy and all of that, which is, it's not as simple as we would all hope. But yeah, and the other thing is, like, whether you know this or not, like now you're about to know it, you know, all the conflict minerals that are used in, well, most technologies, from phones to like lithium for lithium batteries and all the rest of it, it's not green because you're digging into the earth, and a lot of the places where they're digging, they, you know, just like any other mining techniques, they don't use efficient and clean processes. So what's the solution? Well, be autodidactic and do your research, and realise that, like, we need to have hybridised systems bit by bit, obviously towards clean green energy, but that's really the thing is, like, public oversight without ignorance, so that we can actually, yeah, move towards a more sustainable future. But like, if you haven't lived off grid, then you might want to go and like do some volunteering or something like that, and stop talking out of your fucking ass, because it's not as simple as you might think. And yeah, that's my little tidbit of information to y'all. So, you know, composting toilet, you know, growing my own, well, not very much food at the moment, but don't get this idealistic concept into your heads that, like, someone's going to fucking save you and suddenly create clean green energy. And the other thing being that most of the fucking things in terms of solar systems and all the rest of it are manufactured in China, with controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. So we're all funding the Chinese Communist Party through the different things that we're buying that are manufactured in China. And if you think like, oh, that's racist or negative, or it's like, well, as someone who's actually done business in China and manufactured in China and also in Taiwan, I have a bit more experience with like what's what in terms of China and otherwise. Not to mention that I've studied Chinese medicine and Chinese language, so do your research and realise that things are not quite as straightforward as you might like to think or believe in terms of moving towards a sustainable, clean, green future. Also look up like what happens in terms of where the metals for your phone, smartphones and tablets and all the rest of it come from. I can't remember his name, Siddhartha something. He's written a book called Cobalt Red, I think, which is about his experience going in to part of the Congo where they do a lot of the mining and everything, and it's like horrendous, not just violations of nature, but also of men, women and children in terms of, it being a humanitarian crisis. So I think like everyone needs to take a fucking chill pill, get off their high horse and realise that actually in terms of a clean, green future, it's far more complicated than just saying like, let's all go to solar and do this and that. It's like, yeah, we need to, but we also need to look at the more complex systems that are involved in terms of supply chain, manufacturing, ethics, and the way that like nature and people are treated. And that takes people actually being involved in some kind of oversight and democratic process. So yeah, that's a bit more of a rant for you. So yeah, go volunteer or live off grid for a while and get some idea of what's actually required for the most basic things in terms of your water, your energy, where that's coming from. Like if you don't have a car like I don't, and you've got to carry your shopping like 7 kilometres from the shops or whatever, like there's a lesson. And then you start to have a bit more understanding of like people who say live in third world countries and have to carry water that's actually not even clean back to their families, 10 kilometres or something. And it's usually the women and the older kids that are doing that. So yeah, reality check.